What's going on, everybody? Uncle Paul here, and we're in covering our new top 10 list. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're talking about top 10 actions to advance at work in 2021, although you can get started on these in 2020. Depending on how far along you are when you watch this, it's something you can still apply and get into the habit of doing. And we'll get into a little bit of review. We're covering number 8 and number 7 today, but I'll just quickly run through what we covered in the first video, and there should be a link to that as well at the end of this, or you can go to the playlist and find it as well. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Click the thumbs up, and then also hit the alert button. And then again, I want to encourage you to go ahead and share this if you find that it might be useful for somebody that's a peer of yours at work, somebody, a family member, or a kid that may need to hear some things. And sometimes if you have kids, it's tough for them to hear it from you directly. So maybe having Uncle Paul talk to them might be a good thing. So if you find this useful, feel free to do it. On the last video, covered being proactive and just what that means in terms of being proactive versus being reactionary, right? And one of the things that you can do, it might cost you maybe a half an hour of sleep, but if you can just try doing it for a half an hour and organizing yourself so you're not always operating in that reactionary state, and it might feel good to you, it might feel like you're being busy and you got so much to do, but I guarantee you're probably not as productive as you think, right? And then you also don't have the time to go ahead and react to the things that are out of your control. So if you're proactive in terms of the things that you know that are coming up, getting ahead of those things, preparing for those things, utilizing your time, right? I see so many people at work when I walk by going to, the lunchroom or something, they're out there surfing and doing things instead of just heads down trying to get ahead of things. You have more time at work than you probably think. The number 9 item that I covered was be genuinely kind, right? I think that when you invest in people, they genuinely, appreciate that. And I think that it helps them feel value, right? When you're working with folks, just to know that somebody else knows what's going on. And what I talked about was just making sure that, you ask how they're doing and stop and listen. Don't just say, how's it going? And just keep walking, right? You'd be surprised at how much you learn about people, learn about the family members, caring for elderly parents, caring for a child with special needs. You don't know what's going on in their life, but again, it allows you to ask and follow up and maybe even offer some help. You never know. So, and again, it just puts a different perspective in terms of, who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with when dealing with people at work. So I think if you're genuine about that, I think you'd be surprised. And so again, you can get going on those things prior to 2021, but again, those are the first 2 we covered. And now we're going to move on to number 8. Complete all of your quarterly and year-end goals, right? So if you want to advance, one of the things that typically happens if you're working for somebody and working for a corporation, you are assigned quarterly goals. Now, maybe that might be individual goals. Maybe that's, corporate goals that are also assigned to you, but that's something you can control, right? Same thing as it's almost like your syllabus when you're in college, right? If you do complete all your homework, study and do well on your tests, participate in class and show up, you pretty much have a solid shot of getting, if you do decent on your tests, getting a solid B or an A, depending on how much study time you put in. And those quarterly and year-end goals that you're assigned, that adds up, right? That adds up in terms of your, conversation you have with your boss about advancement, your raise. There's a lot of impacts there that if you don't take care of those things, that can hurt you. And it puts you behind the 8 ball in terms of you being able to have that conversation with your boss about, advancing, right? That's the minimum, right? There's other intangible things that, take place in terms of what you need to do, but that's something you can control, right? And it's something I do. I go ahead. Some people do those, but they don't even update them in the system, right? The HR system that's there. And so I'm on it. Every quarter I go in, I make sure that I make comments. I add little comments in that lets my management, my leadership know that I've completed this, completed some e-learning, all the little things that you can do that'll help you with that conversation, right? And that fits back into number 10 as well in terms of just being proactive. Don't wait until, December 31st, 5 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and you're like, oh, I got to get all my e-learning done, to qualify for 20. Sometimes it's 25% of your raise or your performance bonus, right? Or just your evaluation. and getting ahead and just carving out some time. Use your calendar, right, to just kind of knock those things out, and even have, quarterly, hour long session where you just catch up on some e-learning, or, make sure you're checking in to make sure you're doing all of those things that you need. So again, it's not something that's super complicated, but again, it helps you in terms of your argument. If you're going to go in and say, hey, I'd like to, apply for this position, that's one thing that you've done. I've achieved all my quarterly goals. And if there's still some question that may be had by your boss or your leadership, you can then ask, okay, what can I do this upcoming year to add into my quarterly and year-end goals so that I can talk about that next position, right? That I want to, achieve, right? So sometimes they're just canned, accomplishments, but I would get it in writing and then add those specifically and officially to your quarterly and year-end goals, so that when it comes time to have that conversation again in 6 months, maybe, you can say, hey, we talked about this. I added this on in addition to the standard, goals that we had, and I'm accomplishing them. Am I on track to have this conversation about, a promotion? Again, it puts the onus back on them because you're delivering on your side of things. So again, something you can control. Going to move on to number 7. Again, this is something that is free and easy to do, doesn't cost you anything. Just like number 10 and number 9 doesn't cost you anything, right? Give others credit frequently. And why not? If somebody's doing a great job, and again, you don't want it to look, come across as, fake, or, that you don't mean it, but take that time. People appreciate it because we go throughout our whole day asking people to do things for us, and just get into task mode in terms of everything that we have to do to, just make it through the day and make it through the work week. But this is something that doesn't cost you anything. And again, what it not only, helps the other person who's receiving the compliment in front of, leadership and with their bosses, but it builds trust, right? That person is more apt to either, if you're ever in need, or, a tight deadline, and maybe their team, if you're working with a team at work, and you've paid them some compliments to their works, and it's genuine, right, to the things, that the tasks that they've done, maybe you need them, and they're going to remember, what, Paul's always looking out for us, and I'm gonna, go the extra mile for him, even though it kind of stinks that, he's in a bind right now. It might cost me some extra time, but we look out for each other, right? Giving other people credit frequently builds huge investment down the line. And again, you shouldn't do it so that you can call in that favor. I guarantee you, if you're just doing it naturally and genuinely and frequently, you'll be surprised at how often people actually offer when they know you're in a bind, without you even having to beg, or, cajole, or talk to their bosses about things. They'll be like, we got you. We got you. So again, things that are not hard to do: be proactive, be genuinely kind, make sure you complete all your quarterly and year-end goals. It's just like a college syllabus, right? And then give others credit frequently. These are things that are not hard, but you'd be surprised if you apply these things that we're talking about here and do them all year long. You're in a position of strength when it comes time to have that conversation, either about a raise, if that's the opportunity you're looking for, the advancement you're looking for, or a position, in title. So anyway, that's it. Next time we're going to cover number 6 and number 5. Again, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, click the thumbs up, and hit the alert button, and share this video with people that you might find useful, that might find it useful, and that maybe you don't want to have the conversation, or maybe they're not receptive to hearing it from you. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then we will talk to you the next video.